welcome. A buddy of mine recently asked me for some recommendations for the Nintendo Switch, but the only information he gave me was he likes Grand Theft Auto and he liked The Simpsons Hit and Run back in the day. But, never to be perturbed, I cracked on and I think I came up with quite a good list, so I'm going to share it. So without further ado, here is a list of some brilliant Nintendo Switch games for GTA fans, which, thinking about it, probably is most of us. And before going any further, let's address the elephant in the room. Yes, there are Grand Theft Auto games on the Switch. You've got the remastered trilogy. But, and it's been covered to death, so I'm not going to go into detail, they're not brilliant. You're far better off simply playing the originals. So that's all I'm going to say about those. Moving on. For those of us that were introduced to Grand Theft Auto when it first came out on the PlayStation 1, you'll remember the top-down view, which is how it started. Well, if they were to make a top-down Grand Theft Auto game now, this is what it would look like. It's American Fugitive, and it is absolutely brilliant. One of the first games I played when I got my Switch, actually, just because it was like £2 or £3 on the eShop. You play as an escaped inmate. You've been framed for a crime you didn't commit, and it's set in the rural Americas. You've got 3 distinct areas, like islands, which you access as you progress through the game. Plenty of variety of vehicles and weapons. There's scrapyards where you can take vehicles for money. There's an army base. We've got some really good weapons and tanks and things there. And the missions and story itself, all awesome. The only thing this game is missing is voice acting, but that's one very small complaint for one very good game. You might not think the worlds are huge compared to other open world games, but there's so much packed into it, I haven't got enough time to tell you all about it here. Saints Row the Third, my favourite entry in the Saints Row franchise, and with this full package version you get a good dose of silliness, wackiness, craziness, and all this beautiful content in its full HD glory. I say HD, enhanced visuals. Saints Row is an amazing series. Don't judge it by the latest 2022 entry, although it's not as bad as people say. Judge it by this. There is so much fun to be had. I don't think you can go wrong. You can play it for hours and hours on end, explore the area. There's a humongous amount of side missions, and we all know the side missions in open world games can sometimes be the most fun. Do not miss this one. If you haven't played it, or you haven't played it recently, now's a brilliant time to pick it up. It's usually on sale on the eShop for less than a tenner. And if I haven't managed to tempt you with the third entry in the series, why not play Saints Row 4? It's there too. Or better yet, play the third and then the fourth. If you think the third one's wacky, this one takes it up about 20 notches. But it's all in the name of good fun. In some ways, these Saints Row games, they make Grand Theft Auto look like it's almost restrained. And from wonderful 3D to glorious 16-bit goodness, this is Shakedown Hawaii, and it's another game you'll get for £3 or £4 on the eShop when it goes on sale, which it does regularly, so no reason not to try it. It'll come as no surprise that the game takes place on an open world island, which is meant to be a representation of one of the Hawaiian Islands. You're an aging businessman and you realise you're out of touch. Investing in video rental stores, VCR manufacturing and the like isn't going well for obvious reasons. Fortunately, you get a lot of good ideas by sitting and watching the telly, and you implement these ideas in rather strange ways, usually involving guns. You also get to play as a specialist. He's only ever called the Operative, I believe, and that takes place in different locations where you really shoot a lot of bullets at people. And of course there's some great fun side missions, largely involving going into businesses on the island and shaking them down, again in a little bit of a variety of ways, to get them to come on board. It's a great time to be had. Rustler. Set in medieval times, it plays very much like American Fugitive, just set in a different time period. And that's a good thing, because I really like that game, as you probably gathered earlier.
It's easy to compare this to Red Dead Redemption, despite the fact they're in different time periods, because you can see all the riding around on horses and things. I'd say it's more like a Saints Row game, just set in medieval times, which could be a good idea if they ever tried to reboot Saints Row again. I'd buy that. But I digress. It's another cheap one. I keep finding these bargains. Goes on sale regularly for less than a fiver. It's relatively cheap to pick up physically as well. The gameplay's solid. It's got a good balance between story and humour. If you're looking for a game you can pick up and put down after playing for just 15 minutes, or sit and play for hours, this will suit you. And seeing as I've mentioned Red Dead Redemption, it would be wrong of me not to point out that you can get the remastered version on your Nintendo Switch. I don't know if it looks quite as good as the PS5 and the Xbox Series X versions, but it looks good to me. If you're talking about GTA, it's hard not to mention Red Dead, although they are different styles of games. Yes, there's similarities with the gameplay, but it is more of a difference than simply the fact they're set in different time periods. If for some reason you haven't experienced this game already, this is a great way to do so, or if you haven't played it for a long time, because it has been trapped physically on the 7th generation of games for a long time now, why not give it another shout? It's just as good as you remember, just now looks better too. And seeing as I'm diving into Rockstar's back catalogue, how about LA Noire? Working on the theory we'll always get sequels to Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption eventually, this is the game in their back catalogue I would like a sequel to the most. I love this game. I've played it through so many times, and the remastered, made to look prettier version is the way to play it. There's got a few quality of life improvements as well. They did it originally for the PS4, the 8th generation, and then of course they put it on the Switch. One of the big things that was talked about when it was launched is how they used the motion capture to get the facial expressions, the idea being during interviews it would help you to determine whether the suspect was telling the truth or not. That's a big part of the game. You have got an open world to explore. You generally tend to use the open world to drive in between locations for your cases where you gather clues and things. You can pick up radio calls for crimes in progress, which are generally either a car chase or a shootout, both good fun, and you can explore it to find different cars as well. Post-World War II LA has never looked better in a game. I love this noir style. I like films and things set in this era, or even from this era. To me, it's one of those games that I think everybody should try once. Maybe a little bit out of left field with this suggestion, but how about taking some of the Grand Theft Auto formula to Mars in Red Faction Guerrilla Remastered? I remember playing this when it came out. I think it was quite early in the 7th gen lifespan, and actually thinking to myself the graphics weren't brilliant on it, even by the standards then. It looks great now. As far as remasters go, it's one of the better improvements graphically I've seen, and I thoroughly enjoyed playing it all the way through, as I didn't finish it the first time round. It's not so much about stealing cars, although there are vehicles there, but you've got a good fun open world, it's crafted well, and above all everything else, destructible buildings, baby! You can destroy them with a sledgehammer, explosives, drive vehicles into them, just use your imagination. It's where a lot of the fun in this game comes from, and the amount of things you can destroy is still impressive now. This game very rarely gets talked about. I haven't seen it get much love, and I think that should change. Have you played this yet? Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll be interested to hear. And I want to throw in some honorary mentions just very quickly, as if you're looking for something that's simply open world and you're not bothered about the rest of the GTA formula, well, there's 3 of the best open world games you can possibly get. Actually, thinking about it, 4. You've got Skyrim. Do I need to say more? Still one of the best games ever made. You've got The Witcher 3. Phenomenal fantasy RPG fun. Everybody who I've known play this game, and in fact everybody I've seen online who's played this game and talked about it, loves it, with very good reason. And how could I not mention Nintendo's own The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and its even better follow-up sequel, The Tears of the Kingdom. Phenomenal open world games that give you a true feeling of freedom as you adventure through this meticulously crafted land. And in Tears of the Kingdom, you can even go up and down into caves below the earth and to sky islands as well. Now it's over to you. Let me know in the comments what you think. Have any of these games tempted you, or have I reminded you of a past favourite which you haven't picked up for a little while? Maybe I've missed off a game which you think would go perfectly on this list. Let me know, it might be one I've not played. I'm always looking for new games. I hope you enjoyed this little video. If you want to press like and subscribe, please do not fight that urge. Helps us tiny channels out a ton if you click those buttons. And until next time, I'll see you soon. Ta-da for now.